Okay, so my presentation is going to be talking about white brain matter and the risk of psychosis. So to begin, I just want to start off with some important information. First, I want to talk about what white brain matter is. So the deeper tissue of the brain contains white matter, and within the matter, it contains nerve fibers and nerve cells extensions. These nerve fibers are connected by myelin, and then the myelin protects the nerve fibers from injury and improves the speed and transmission of electrical nerve signals along axons. And then what is psychosis? So, in basic terms, psychosis is a feeling of being out of touch with reality or a loss of touch with reality. The main symptoms that people think about when they hear psychosis is delusions and hallucinations, but there well, the other symptoms include inappropriate behavior and speech that is unreasonable or incoherent. Additionally, a person who is going through a psychotic episode may struggle with depression, anxiety, sleeping problems, social disengagement, lack of motivation, and general difficulties functioning. So, the research study findings is that brain image studies have found structural and functional abnormalities in those with psychosis, connections between the cortex and the thalamus. So, the article that I chose to discuss was titled White Matter Microstructure Reveals Development and Risk of Psychosis. Previous research conducted by Dr. Avery calls for him to test the hypothesis. Data was taken from 1,144 subjects ages 8 to 22, and they were reviewed by Dr. Avery and his colleagues. 316 showed typical development, whereas the remaining patients had psychosis spectrum signs or other psychopathologies. The findings suggest that structural deficits that are frequently found in patients with psychosis may have occurred later near the onset of the illness or may be restricted to only people who will go on to develop a psychotic disorder. White brain matter structural tracts are similar in children at higher risk of psychosis and remain relatively stable throughout typical development. So basically, the findings suggest that the risk for cognitive deficiencies and psychosis is significantly influenced by abnormal development processes, such as if it's such as white matter myelination. So the two theories that I chose to discuss from the textbook was one, multiple sclerosis. I'm not sure if I'm saying it right, so I'm just going to refer to it as MS and then depression. MS is a disease that affects the central nervous system, which includes the brain, the spinal cord, and the optic nerves. And it's not known the actual origin of MS, but we do know that damage to the myelin interrupts impulses to and from the brain. MS is commonly diagnosed via MRI, which focuses on determining the temporal course of development of white matter lesions, and it causes inflammatory damage to the microstructure of white matter. Over time, this can cause physical and cognitive symptoms. And some of the symptoms include slurred speech, fatigue, dizziness, blurred vision, depression, anxiety, problems with thinking, learning, and planning. And my second theory is depression, also known as major depressive disorder, which is a common and very serious medical illness that negatively impacts how you feel, the way you think, and how you act. And the most prevalent neuropsychiatric condition identified in people with MS is major depressive episode. So you can kind of see how those two link to each other and how that kind of deals with um, the white blood cell or the white brain matter. The presence of depressive symptoms and a history of late onset depression are linked to severity of subcortical white matter lesions. So here are my three peer-reviewed articles. The first article is titled Myelin Related Disorder and Psychosis. And I'm just going to basically sum it up a little bit for you and just read the bottom part. The findings confirm the importance of white matter disease pathway in schizophrenia and psychosis by revealing the critical links between OMR risk genes, white matter tract integrity, and cognitive functions in this disorder. And the disorder they're talking about is the white matter disease disorder. Article 2 discusses psychosis patients demonstrated abnormalities in working memory, phonological and somatic fluency, general intelligence quotient, and lower MFW in the left temporal lobe left temporal white matter. Article 3 talks about it's a study about a study, and the data implies that white matter abnormalities are not a genetic trait associated with the likelihood of psychosis or the start of a psychotic disease. In younger people with FR for the illness, the data did not support the hypothesis of disconnectivity as a primary indicator of psychosis. White matter microstructure did not differ between the family risk and the control groups. White matter abnormalities may not be genetically determined aspects of psychosis. To include structural disconnectivity may not be the most obvious indicator of this. So I thought that I picked these two articles for one major reason is because these two, and the reason that I have them outlined in green, they support the news article and they support the older findings about, white brain matter being linked to psychosis. So they provide more support to that hypothesis. Whereas number three, um, offer is does it go, kind of goes against it in a way by saying that white brain matter abnormalities may not be genetically determined aspects of psychosis. So that's kind of um, the, and I thought it would be a good idea to include articles from different perspectives on the original hypothesis. Here are my references. Thank you for watching.